You and I, we're wired for happiness. Every single one of us has it inside. But here's the problem. Most people treat happiness like it's some reward they get after life decides they've earned it. They're waiting for the perfect job, the perfect body, the perfect partner, the perfect bank balance before they give themselves permission to feel good. It's like they're holding their joy hostage, saying, "I'll be happy when." But here's the truth, and I need you to feel this deep in your bones. Happiness is not the result. Happiness is the switch you flip first. When I say switch, I mean it literally. You have a mental control panel that decides how you feel in this very moment. And it's not buried somewhere you can't reach. It's right here, in the decisions you make, in the focus you choose, in the meaning you give to everything. Think about it. Two people can go through the exact same situation. One comes out feeling crushed. The other comes out stronger, more alive. What's the difference? It's the meaning they gave it. It's the switch they flipped. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine lost his job a few years ago. It was unexpected. He had bills to pay, a family to feed, and suddenly, nothing. Now you can imagine the fear, the panic. And yes, for a few days he sank into it. But then something changed. One morning he looked at himself in the mirror and said, "If I keep staring at the closed door, I'll miss the open ones. This is not the end, it's the push I needed." That day he flipped his happiness switch, not because his problems vanished, but because he decided to see them differently. Within months he launched his own small business. The thing that seemed like the worst moment of his life became the start of his best chapter. Now here's the thing, you don't have to wait for some big life crisis to flip that switch. You can do it right now. Step 1, own your state. Your emotional state is the engine behind every action you take. If you wake up in a lousy mood, you'll see problems everywhere. If you wake up in a powerful state, you'll see possibilities everywhere. How do you control your state, move your body, change your posture? Change your breathing. You can't sit slouched, frowning, breathing shallow, and expect to feel unstoppable. Stand tall, shoulders back, breathe deep, feel the shift. Step 2, master your focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you constantly focus on what's missing, what's wrong, what's broken, guess what? You're going to feel miserable. But if you start looking for what's working, what's beautiful, what's possible, your world transforms. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system. It's like a filter. Tell it to look for problems, it will find them. Tell it to look for blessings, it will find them. You train it every single day with what you choose to focus on. Step 3, change the meaning. Life is not what happens to you. Life is the meaning you give to what happens to you. The same event can either break you or build you, and you get to decide. Ask yourself powerful questions. What else could this mean? How could this be happening for me, not to me? If I were to grow from this, what would I learn? I'll tell you something you already know but might have forgotten. Happiness is a skill. It's not luck, it's not genetics, it's not some people just have it. It's a muscle you build. And like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. But here's the trap, and I want you to hear this because it's stealing happiness from millions of people. Comparison. We live in a world where you can scroll for 10 minutes and see hundreds of people who seem richer, prettier, fitter, happier. And if you're not careful, you'll let that trick you into thinking your life isn't enough. Remember, people post their highlight reel, not their behind the scenes. You're comparing your everyday reality to their best filtered moments. That's not just unfair, it's insanity. The truth is, happiness comes when you align your life with what matters to you, not what impresses them. It's when you measure yourself by your own values, your own growth, your own progress, not by someone else's scoreboard. And there's something else. Happiness is amplified when you give. When you make your life not just about what you get, but what you contribute. You've had moments maybe holding someone's hand when they were scared, or helping a stranger, or making a friend laugh when they needed it. Those moments feel different, don't they? That's because your soul is wired for connection and contribution. When you give, you flip your happiness switch to a setting no achievement alone can reach. So here's my challenge to you, right now, make the decision that your happiness is not for sale. It's not up for negotiation. It's not dependent on the economy, on someone else's opinion, or on the weather. It's yours. You own the switch. Wake up tomorrow and choose it. Move your body with energy. Focus on what's working. Give meaning that empowers you. Stop waiting for life to hand you happiness. Bring it with you into every room you enter. Because the happiest people aren't the ones who have the best of everything. They're the ones who make the best of everything they have. And when you start living like that, you don't just change your mood, you change your life. Happiness is not the result, it's the switch you flip first. Most people spend their lives chasing this illusion that happiness will magically appear after they've achieved certain milestones. They tell themselves, I'll be happy when I get the job, I'll be happy when I lose the weight, I'll be happy when I find the right person, I'll be happy when I buy the house, and in doing so, they postpone their joy for some future moment that may never come. They treat happiness like it's a prize to be earned, rather than a state to be created. But the truth is, happiness is a choice, a decision you can make right now, without anything in your life needing to change. It's like an internal light switch, and you're the only one with the power to turn it on. You don't need anyone's permission, and you don't need to wait for the perfect conditions, because those conditions are an illusion. There are people with everything you think you need who are still miserable, and there are people with almost nothing who radiate joy every single day. That alone should tell you happiness isn't about the outside, it's about the inside. When you flip the switch first, something magical happens. Your mind stops obsessing over what's missing and starts noticing what's already there. You stop being controlled by circumstances, and you start creating your own emotional reality. The moment you choose happiness now, you begin to see opportunities where you used to see problems. You start taking actions from a place of strength instead of desperation. And here's the irony. When you choose happiness first, you actually start achieving those goals faster, because you're not chasing them from a place of lack. You're creating from a place of abundance. Think about it. When you're happy, you're more confident, more resilient, more magnetic. People want to be around you. You make better decisions. You take more bold action. And that energy becomes a magnet for success. But you can't wait for the success to give you the happiness. That's backwards. Happiness isn't the reward. It's the fuel. The switch is in your hands, but you have to be willing to flip it even when life isn't perfect, even when things are uncertain, even when challenges show up. Because if your happiness depends on everything being just right, you'll never truly have it. It's about deciding that your emotional well-being is not for sale, not conditional, not negotiable. It's yours. You control it, and the moment you stop waiting for something or someone to make you happy, you step into the kind of freedom that changes everything. You're no longer a prisoner to when. You live in the power of now. And in that space, life starts to feel different. Not because the outside world has changed, but because you've flipped the one switch that changes how you experience all of it. Your emotional state shapes your reality. Own it. Every single day, you are living through a lens colored by your emotions, and that lens determines what you see, how you interpret it, and what actions you take. Two people can experience the exact same event, yet walk away with completely different feelings about it. One might see it as a setback, the other as an opportunity. The difference is not the situation, it's the emotional state they were in when they experienced it. Your mind is like a projector, and your emotions are the filter through which the movie of your life is played. If you're in a state of fear, everything looks threatening. If you're in a state of gratitude, everything feels like a gift. The key is realizing that your emotional state is not something that just happens to you. It's something you can influence, shape, and take control of. Most people don't think about this consciously. They wake up, check their phone, see some bad news, and suddenly their mood for the day is decided. Or they let other people's moods dictate their own. They don't realize they've given away the remote control to their emotional life. But you can reclaim it. You can learn to shift your state in minutes by changing what you focus on, how you move, and the meaning you give to things. The fastest way to shift your emotional state is through your physiology. If you slump your shoulders, breathe shallow, and keep your eyes down, your body signals to your brain that it's time to feel low energy. But when you stand tall, take deep, powerful breaths, move with purpose, your body tells your brain it's time to feel alert and confident. That's not wishful thinking, it's hardwired biology. Your brain responds to the cues you give it through your body. Then there's focus. Whatever you focus on, you feel. If you focus on problems, you'll feel stressed. If you focus on solutions, you'll feel resourceful. If you focus on what's missing, you'll feel incomplete. If you focus on what's already here, you'll feel grateful. The choice is yours, but you have to be deliberate. Your mind will naturally drift toward threats because it's designed for survival, not happiness. That's why you have to train it, to intentionally shift it toward what empowers you instead of what drains you. Finally, meaning is the third lever. Every experience you have is neutral until you assign it a meaning. If someone cuts you off in traffic, you could tell yourself they're a terrible person and feel anger, or you could tell yourself they might be rushing to an emergency and feel compassion. Same event, different state, completely different reality. This is why your emotional state is so powerful, because it doesn't just change how you feel in the moment, it changes how you interpret the world, how you act, and ultimately what you create. If you want a better life, start with your state. If you want better relationships, better performance, better health, start with your state. Own it, and you own the way you experience everything. When you make the decision to become the driver of your emotions instead of the passenger, you stop being at the mercy of circumstances and start shaping life on your terms. Where focus goes, energy flows. Train your mind wisely. Your focus is like a spotlight, and whatever you shine it on becomes bigger and more real in your experience. The human brain is constantly processing millions of bits of information every second, yet you consciously register only a fraction of it. The things you notice are the things you've trained your mind to look for, whether you did it intentionally or by habit. This is why two people can walk into the same room and have entirely different experiences. One notices everything that's wrong: the uncomfortable chair, the noise in the background, the people who didn't greet them. The other notices what's right: the warmth in the room, the friendly faces, the opportunities for connection. Same room, different focus, different reality. The mind has a built-in filter called the reticular activating system, and its job is to filter out what's irrelevant and bring to your attention what it thinks is important. The catch is, it decides what's important based on what you repeatedly focus on. If you're always looking for problems, your mind will deliver more problems. If you're always looking for blessings, your mind will deliver more blessings. This is not magic, it's biology and psychology working together. Most people don't consciously direct their focus. They wake up and let the news, social media, and random events hijack it. Without realizing it, they train their brain to zero in on negativity, scarcity, and stress. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, anxious, or unmotivated. But the moment you decide to take control of your focus, everything changes. You can start by asking better questions, because your brain is always answering whatever question you give it. If you ask, "Why does this always happen to me?" it will find reasons to make you feel defeated. If you ask, "How can I turn this into an advantage?" it will search for solutions and possibilities. Your focus can also be trained by consciously shifting your attention toward what's working instead of obsessing over what's broken. This doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means giving more mental energy to what empowers you to take action. Even in difficult situations, there's always something you can be grateful for, some lesson to learn, some resource you can use. Gratitude itself is one of the fastest ways to redirect focus, because you can't feel scarcity and abundance at the same time. Training your focus also means being aware of what you consume mentally. The books you read, the people you talk to, the content you watch, they all program what your mind sees as important. If you surround yourself with negativity, your focus will naturally gravitate toward it. But if you feed your mind with uplifting, solution-oriented input, Your focus shifts toward possibility and progress. Over time, where you place your focus shapes not just your thoughts, but your feelings, your actions, and ultimately your destiny. The world is full of both beauty and pain, opportunity and challenge, growth and loss. You will always find more of what you choose to look for. If you want to change your energy, change your focus. When you discipline your mind to consistently focus on what strengthens you, you begin to live from a place of power rather than reaction, and the quality of your life transforms from the inside out. Life is the meaning you give it. Choose empowering meanings. Every single event that happens to you is neutral until you assign it a meaning, and that meaning becomes the emotional filter through which you experience it. Two people can face the exact same challenge, yet one feels crushed while the other feels motivated. The difference isn't in the event itself, but in the interpretation each person gives it. Your brain is always looking for meaning, because meaning creates a sense of certainty, and certainty feels safe. But the problem is, most people assign meanings automatically, based on old beliefs, fears, and past experiences, without questioning whether those meanings serve them. If you've been conditioned to believe that failure means you're not good enough, every setback will feel like a personal attack. If you believe failure means you're learning and growing, every setback becomes fuel to push you forward. The meaning you give to a moment becomes the story you tell yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, and what life is about. That story influences every decision you make from that point forward. If you want to change your life, you have to change the story, and the way you change the story is by changing the meaning. This starts with awareness. The next time something happens, before reacting, pause and ask yourself, what else could this mean? That simple question interrupts the automatic emotional response and opens the door to new possibilities. Instead of defaulting to meanings that weaken you, you can consciously choose meanings that empower you. A difficult breakup could mean you've lost love forever, or it could mean you're making space for the relationship that's truly aligned with you. Losing a job could mean you're failing, or it could mean you're being redirected toward your true calling. Even the most painful experiences can be reframed when you choose to see them as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. This isn't about denying reality or pretending everything is positive. It's about taking ownership of your interpretation so you're not a victim of circumstance. Your brain will always search for proof to back up whatever meaning you choose, so when you choose empowering meanings, your mind starts looking for evidence that supports your strength, resilience, and potential. Over time, this creates a new pattern, a habit of assigning meanings that push you forward instead of pulling you down. The meaning you give to life doesn't just affect how you feel in a moment, it shapes your long-term identity. If you've decided life is hard and people can't be trusted, you'll find examples everywhere to reinforce that belief. If you've decided life is a gift and people are capable of kindness, you'll see examples of that everywhere too. The external world becomes a mirror of the internal meaning you've chosen. And because meaning is a choice, you have the power to completely shift the way you experience life without changing the external circumstances. You are the author of the story, and you get to decide whether the plot is about defeat or triumph, loss or growth, endings or beginnings. When you consciously choose empowering meanings, you stop living as a passive observer and start living as the creator of your reality. Happiness grows when you give, not just when you get. There's a deep, unshakable joy that comes from knowing you've contributed to something beyond yourself. It's the feeling you get when you've lifted someone's spirit, eased their burden, or made them feel seen and valued. That kind of happiness is different from the temporary rush you get from buying something new or achieving a personal goal. It's richer, deeper, and it lasts longer. Human beings are wired for connection and contribution. Throughout history, survival depended on communities working together, sharing resources, and protecting each other. That wiring still exists today, and it's why giving feels so natural when you allow yourself to do it without holding back. The world often teaches us to chase happiness through accumulation. More money, more possessions, more status. But those things rarely fill the emptiness people are trying to escape. In fact, the more life is focused solely on getting, the more isolated and dissatisfied it can feel. Giving breaks that cycle because it shifts the focus away from the self and onto the needs of others. It pulls you out of your own head and reminds you that you're part of something bigger. Giving doesn't have to be grand or expensive. Sometimes the smallest acts, a kind word, a genuine smile, a moment of listening, can have the biggest impact. These acts ripple outward in ways you may never fully see, touching lives far beyond the moment they happen. The beauty of giving is that it doesn't just help the receiver, it transforms the giver. Science backs this up. Acts of kindness release good chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, which reduce stress and boost well-being. But beyond biology, giving shapes your identity. Every time you give, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who has value to offer, someone who can make a difference. That belief builds confidence, purpose, and a sense of fulfillment that material gains can't match. Giving also has a way of breaking down barriers. It dissolves the illusion of separation between people and replaces it with understanding and compassion. When you give, you're not just transferring something you own. You're sharing a piece of yourself, and that exchange builds trust and connection. It's not about keeping score or expecting something in return, because the moment giving becomes a transaction, it loses its power. True giving is unconditional. It says, I choose to add value to your life simply because I can. That kind of giving comes from abundance, not scarcity. It comes from a mindset that says, I have enough, I am enough, and there's enough to go around. Even in challenging times, giving can be the very thing that restores hope. Not just for the person receiving, but for the person giving. It reminds you that you still have influence over the world, even when you can't control everything in it. It reminds you that your presence matters. Over time, living with a focus on contribution changes the way you measure success. It's no longer just about what you've acquired, but about the lives you've touched and the impact you've had. You begin to realize that the most meaningful legacy you can leave isn't in what you owned, but in the difference you made in the lives of others. And that's a kind of wealth no one can take away from you.